of the mountain.
Hey everybody, Wildman here. Today I'm going to be talking about bug out bags, but more specifically I'm going to talk about how to set up a bug out bag, not what goes in a bug out bag. There's tons of lists out there on the internet of things you should put in your bug out bag, and they're great lists. They're right on a lot of stuff, but they leave a lot of stuff off. So today we're going to talk about how to set one up. And that starts with, what are you setting it up for? What is your plan? Is your plan to get the hell out of Dodge and get out of a city within 72 hours to a predetermined location in the woods or to a friend's house? Are you planning on just getting from work back to home, or are you planning on leaving your home and going somewhere else? You know, those are all things you want to think about, and what type of disaster you're going to be dealing with, whether it's natural disaster, some type of act of war, power grid failure. There's a ton of different stuff out there. So what specifically are you planning for? Okay. Next thing that's going to come with that is buy the right bag. I have a small bag, and it allows me to work in smaller spaces, to be able to fight, be able to run, maneuver, things like that. I've got some of the big 70-liter military bags. I don't use those for bug out bags because they're too bulky, too cumbersome for what I'm doing. And realistically, by the time you put everything in there that you need or you think you need, that bag's going to be too heavy for you to comfortably maneuver around with anyway. I'm under no illusions about my physical condition, and that's another aspect, is be realistic with yourself, okay? If you're not going to get out there, most of us aren't going to get out there, put on a 70-pound pack and hike 10 miles back home. It's just not happening, okay? So be realistic when you purchase a bag. I like a small one that sits high, sits within my shoulders, so it gives me room to maneuver, run around, things like that. You don't have to buy a super expensive bag, but you definitely want to get a good bag. If you've ever had to live out of a bag for a long period of time, you know zippers are going to bust, clips are going to bust, so don't go out there and buy the cheapest bag you can find. This is a SOG, a Special Operations Gear bag. It's I think I paid about $30, $40 for it. It's got heavy-duty zippers, heavy-duty clips on it, and it's been I've absolutely loved it. So buy the right bag, okay? Something else with bug out bags is bug out bags are a personal item. The way you set it up may not be the way that I set it up. Everyone has their own prescriptions. Everyone has their own certain things that they need. You know, I keep an extra pair. I wear glasses. I'm blind without them. I keep my old prescription in my bag. So in the event that I can't get contacts, which I'm probably not going to be able to, or I break my primary set of glasses, I've got a secondary in there, okay? So if you have certain prescriptions that you need that don't have to be refrigerated, or asthma, you want to throw an inhaler in there, those are all types of things to set up. It's going to be a personal bag for you, okay? So they're personal. Bug out bags are also seasonal. I don't have a sleeping bag in here this time of year. This time of year it stays around 80, 90 degrees where I'm at. Sleeping bag doesn't make a whole heck of a lot of sense for me. In the wintertime, in the wintertime, I keep a sleeping bag in my truck in a stuff sack that I can clip to this. And if I have to, if I've got to abandon my vehicle, I can get out and go, okay? So bug out bags are seasonal. Bug out bags are also regional. If you live in an area, in a desert area that doesn't have a lot of water, you're going to want to pack more water, or a way to obtain and filter water, more than somebody who's living in an environment with a lot of rivers. I don't carry a ton of water in my bug out bag because I do carry water filtration and water purification systems so that I can collect and purify water on the way. I'm fortunate enough that I live in an area where I've got a lot of streams and rivers between my work and my home, so I can get out and purify water. So bug out bags are personal. They're regional, they're seasonal. Make sure you get a good bag, okay, and that serves your purpose. So I'm going to break into this. I'm going to go through just a few items. I've already talked about water is on every list, food is on every list, fire, shelter, all that stuff is on every list you find on what to put in a bug out bag. So I'm going to pull a few items out of here that I've put in mine. I love them. To me, they're indispensable. They oftentimes don't make the list because they may not be the best, or you know, people just don't think about them. They don't serve the greatest purpose. So we're going to go through that now. So on the outside, something, I don't know if you can see this pouch. This front pouch here is where I put most of my medical gear. The reason I put medical gear in here is so I can get to it quickly. I don't have to dig through the rest of the bag, okay? Okay, this is a bottle of mentholate. People use it to put on sore muscles. kind of smells like Vicks Vapor Rub. I've got it for a couple different reasons. One, you put it on sore muscles. So, you know, you're sleeping on the ground, sleeping in a vehicle, you're going to be hurting. This will help out with it. Number two is it works just like Vicks Vapor Rub. If you're congested, you can put it on your chest and it will help open up your passageways, your airway, so you can breathe better. It's going to break some of that stuff down. The other reason why I carry it is in a disaster situation, there's going to be a lot of dead bodies all over the place, depending on what it is. You know, we saw that with Hurricane Katrina. That was a natural disaster. But if you talk something where the power grid shut down, there's going to be a high casualty rate. There's going to be bodies dead, rotting all over the place. This stuff helps mask the scent. Also, if you're having to administer aid or first aid to a buddy, they've got an infection, they've got a wound that's necrotic, this is going to block a lot of those smells and help you with that. Line a little bit on the inside of the nose. So that's a great piece of equipment. I always keep that on hand. Something else that I've got in here, this is a window punch. Well, it's actually a spring punch used for marking sheet metal. It's great for busting out windows. Quick, easy, stays in the bag. This is a combat application tourniquet. It's a self-applied, high-speed tourniquet. These, great piece of gear. But this brings me to another point. If you don't know how to use a piece of gear, it's not worth carrying it. I can't tell you how many times people have come to me, ask what I put in my bug out bag. I tell them, they go buy it, have no idea how to use the gear. So if you're gonna get a piece of gear that you don't know how to use, I recommend when you buy them, buy two. That way you can tear one up, you can play with it, you can figure out how it works, and then you can stash the other one in your bag, all right? So a lot of first aid stuff in here. One of the things people tend to leave out is a tampon. I know a lot of you are laughing at me right now, but these things are great. It's sealed, it doesn't take up a lot of space, it's sterile, and it's self-contained. So they're great for plugging bullet wounds, they're great for any kind of puncture, major lacerations. You can shove a couple of these into a wound, say in your leg, shove a couple of these into a wound, wrap it up in a bandage, and you're good to go with that. Also in a pinch, I pulled the cotton out of these and use it as a fire starter. So you won't catch me without, they don't take up any space. I've got a ton of these stuff in my bag. Also, if there's that one guy in your group that's always complaining, it may just be his time of the month, and these may be a lifesaver in that sense, in that instance. All right, that's it. We're gonna go through in the small pocket. There's a lot more in here, but a lot of it is stuff you're gonna see on bug out lists. I'm just trying to think of items that people don't generally think about within these bags. So this next top pouch here is my fire starter and fishing pouch. Got a little crank flashlight on there. So I have the normal fire starters, ferro rod, Linson steel, things like that. Okay. An old snuff can that I've filled with fishing gear, some lead heads, some sinkers, some jig tails, okay, a little bit of line in there. I've got that. It's easy to throw in a pocket. And fishing yo-yo. I don't know if you guys ever used one of these or are familiar with them. They're great. The good thing about this is it's basically a ready-made fishing kit. Well, excuse me, a ready-made fishing pole. If I stop somewhere, if I'm in a bug out situation and I stop somewhere that's got a stream, I can go flip over a log, find some kind of larva, find a cricket, anything like that, put it on one of those hooks in the fishing kit, and then I roll this out. Oh, we're hung up there a little bit. Roll this out, tie my fish hook to it, and leave that off in the water. And what happens is whenever fish come by and grab on it, it tightens up and it sets the hook. So basically it fishes for you. You can hook one of these up, put your fishing gear on it, leave it, and forget it. It's made out of aluminum, very light, great piece of equipment. Love these things. All right, we'll get to the big pocket. So I've got normal stuff in here. Got food, got water containers, water filtration, gas siphon. People are abandoning vehicles. I can siphon gas out of them, or in the event that there's water that's inaccessible, but I can reach it with a hose, I can use this. Obviously, I'm not going to use it for water after I've used it for gas, but good hand pump siphon, great thing to have. All right. In the top of my main pouch, these are SAM splints, S-A-M. They're ready-made splints. Once again, great piece of equipment. Learn how to use them. If you guys want me to do a video on them, I'll be more than happy to. You need two so you can splint a leg, splint arms. I've even seen guys use them for a C-spine collar. These things cost about $7 on eBay. They're really, really light, don't take up a ton of space, and may be a lifesaver. Okay, last but not least, and like I said, this is not everything in here, but these are items that don't generally make the list that to me are great items. They may be different to you. You may look at it and go, that's completely stupid, I'm not putting that in my bag. That's fine. That's what's cool about this. You can set it up however. But a Victor rat trap. Can't tell you, well, if you run out of food, this is a way for you to get more food. It's not just for catching rats. I've seen guys catch squirrels with them. I've seen guys catch birds with them. They're light. They don't take up a ton of space. They're reusable. And once again, it's something else that does the work for you while you can be sleeping or doing something else. I can go, if I'm by a pond, I can set up that fishing kit. Once I set it, I can leave it, come back and check it later. Same thing with this. If I'm in a place where I can go to bed, go to sleep, I can put a little bit of, if I've got some leftover food, or if you find some rotting food, put a little bit on the pressure plate, set it out somewhere. Pretty good odds you're gonna catch a rat. And in a disaster situation, I'm not squeamish about eating rat. They'll catch squirrels. There's even ways that you can modify these to set off a shotgun shell as a perimeter alarm. So those are just a few items in there. I wanted to go through that, kind of give you guys an idea and things to think about. Big thing is, one, if you don't know how to use a piece of gear, it's not worth it to you. So either get familiar or don't put it in your bag. Number two, the more you know how to do, the less you've got to carry. This bag is very simple because the environment that I'm in, the environment that I use it, I feel comfortable gathering most of what I need from the bush, and that's my plan. If things get bad, I'm bugging out to the bush. So the more you know how to do, the less you have to carry in a bag. You've heard me say in other videos, and you'll hear me say it again. Knowledge and skills don't take up any space in your pack, and they don't weigh anything. Thanks for watching. If you guys have got any questions, put them in the comments, and we'll get another video out your way. Stay safe out there.